Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Jencius, a faculty member at a Midwest university, a podcaster, and an Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content. Currently, photography of, well, not too many plants right now, mostly birds and panoramic sequences.
And you're wearing your Daily Beans t-shirt. That's something
I,
that
lo-
we kind of
I love that
secretly,
shirt.
yeah, it says news with swearing. And it's a podcast that we are both familiar with, and it's kind of nice because it's the daily rundown. It's very politically left, so if you're not in that direction, that's cool. But it's got swearing in it too, and it's really well put together over 30 minutes. So it's fun to see Eric when he has his news with swearing shirt. So we're going to cover Vision Pro news and share some great apps. I had a chance to play with some of them today, which has been pretty cool because, besides blowing my nose, I had something else to do. But before we get into the news, there is this device, this Dbrand, and now I have to find it because it is apparently, yeah, okay. So this is the Dbrand Aperture cover for Apple Vision Pro. We spoke about it last week. I had ordered it, and it looks pretty funky here. It's been described as looking like Crocs. I think you made that description. Didn't you call it that?
No, but I agree.
It comes in orange and it comes in black, and I'm still waiting on mine, which is frustrating because the God bless the United States Postal Service, but with the holiday and with the weekend and with the snow and with everything, its delivery has been delayed. They said till Wednesday, but I think I'm gonna get it tomorrow. It's really, really hard to track with it, but I'll give you a full report on it next episode. But it's kind of a cool little device. Its purpose is to cover your screen, but leave all the holes where all the sensors are. And I thought, oh, well, that's kind of nice, but do I need it? And then realized how many times, every time I pick up my headset, I wind up peeling off that cover. And this is something, once you put it on, you can leave it on and it will give you protection. So hope to give you more reports on that in future shows, in the next show, hopefully. And I'll let you know how it works. Any thoughts on this, Eric?
I think it's a great idea, and I like the color. I think there's two colors you can get it in, but I like the orange.
Yeah, you like the orange. I got black. I don't know, black kind of dull, but I just did not want to go with the croc. I mean, the black makes it look less crocky, I guess, you could say. So,
I always find blaze orange to be relaxing and peaceful. It's kind of like day glow yellow, just a relaxing color. You can just drift off. It's quiet.
Yeah, Jeff Gamet suggested glow in the dark, and I suggested, well, that's not good for a lot of reasons. Because if you're sitting in the dark, you can't see your hand movements. And secondly, if you have something glowing around the sensors, it's going to screw up all the sensors anyways. And he goes, but it would still be cool. And I didn't disagree with him on that.
Have you tried painting your fingers with glow in the dark paint? Turn on the lights, turn it off, and then you can do all the motion stuff.
No. Have you?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, but I found I had to put the paint around like my whole finger because otherwise it was just a line, and that didn't seem to help.
Seriously, you tried this?
But even with a little bit, even with a line, you can at least see where your hands are. right? Because it can see you. It's not very fast, but the paint seemed to add a little extra. I'm not officially admitting that I tried it, but I will say it's hard to get the paint out of like blankets. So don't sit on the sofa with blankets and then paint your yeah.
Even
No,
worse, getting it off your screen, your mask.
well, I
The
didn't put it on
light.
the mask. You just put it on
Yeah,
your
I know, but
hands.
but you're gonna go, oh, I got to adjust. Ooh,
Oh,
I got
yeah,
glow in the
yeah.
dark
You gotta
paint all over.
let it dry first. It's kind of cool.
Okay, nothing new with OS 2.3.1. That was released, I think, a week ago Monday. We didn't see anything
Yep.
today.
Yeah. Isn't there
Um,
supposed to be a 2.4 beta? Is that out yet?
Not yet. But
Oh,
I'm
okay.
jumping on that as soon as it happens. There's been some interesting, supposedly, that is the introduction of Apple Intelligence, and we'll talk about that. Tons of articles on it. There will be tons of articles in our show notes about it. So I'll jump on that as soon as it happens. I think it for the non-beta rollout, we won't see that till April, is what the
Yeah.
projection is. But for the beta rollout, who knows? I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's going to be a while. I think they still have some point steps, like maybe a 2.3.2 or those kinds of things that'll come along before they make the big jump to 4. So we'll see. They got a lot going on. Apple's got a lot going on this week with the big surprise that's not a surprise announcement they're going to do on Wednesday. So, not much to say. I tried to chase down as much as I could with this release. I tried last week, couldn't find much. There was some uh, statement that I saw that was part of the Apple developer site that said this update has no published CVE entries, and the CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. So the site is saying we don't have anything to publish about it, and other people are saying there are no CVE entries that are made public. So, it's that whole thing. If you're running it, you probably need to update it because if they're putting out something and not saying anything about it, it's probably something they don't want to trigger folks who might create more vulnerabilities from it, bad actors working with it. So um,
Uh,
if you have
Although
it updated, yeah,
to be fair, that point one on that 2.3.1, that was a bunch of vulnerabilities that got patched. So maybe they
yeah,
just patched them recently enough. They haven't had new ones yet.
yeah. Hey, we've got Gern, we've got Justin, and we've got Cletus in the chat room with a few more people watching besides them. So welcome to the chat room, and glad to have you as part of the show. I always glance over to this direction every once in a while to see what they're up about. They've got a little bit of a time delay from when we record, so sometimes they have really great points, but they come in about 30 seconds later than I could have used them. So, but thank you guys, thank you folks for being there. Um, Apple Intelligence. Let's go ahead and go to that story because it's the big news for this week. And Apple Intelligence-infused Siri faces some delays. I'm not upset about the delays. It's just going to happen as it's going to happen. And this is from Mac Daily News. Mainly, everybody's taking stuff from Mark Gurman, and I like in this particular article they misspell his name, Marjk Gurman, and you know I think has just become a advance man for Apple products because all the articles kind of cite this fact that they're trying to keep up with Apple Intelligence. I don't even like to say that they're trying to keep up. They're doing it at their speed with what they are doing. And they really want to get Siri right. It's going to take time. Um, and it's been a digital assistant through 2011, but it hasn't really been put into full use, particularly with AI. So, and another article talking about how it's going to get its greatest update. I think this is, we need these occasional pushes with the product, and we've seen those pushes with the gestures, and then we saw them with the Mac Virtual Screen, and now we're seeing it, or we'll see it hopefully with Apple Intelligence. For a long time, people took the announcement that it's not coming to Apple Vision Pro, and that's a bad part about the product. But you know, I couldn't figure out why they couldn't do it. It's just that they weren't going to do it first. They're going to get it out on the devices that have the largest contact and spread, get the largest feedback in terms of what they can do to improve Apple Intelligence as a product. And then, I'm not surprised it's not here. I'm not surprised. Well, maybe by the time the new HomePod comes out, it'll be integrated well into that. But such is life. Um, it's okay to be late. It's better to be right. Um, your thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, and I think there's been some refocusing on Apple Intelligence. Apple kind of moved some people around to try to um you know put more of a push on um advancing it. May so that did only happen somewhat recently, so it'll take time. I suspect there would have been a couple of releases by now, but maybe they kind of re-examined them and decided that they weren't a big enough change, and have kind of um they're sort of double checking and making sure that when they release something, it's what people are looking for.
Now,
It is though nice to get news that there will be something coming out for Apple Vision Pro, because for a while it was looking like that might not happen at all.
yeah, well, that was the chat. I mean, that was the chatter about it, and it said, yeah, but it still has all the things it can do. And then it's like, oh, it's got to wait for the M5 chip for it to be able to do it. Maybe if a version comes out with an M5 chip, there'll be some speed and some performance enhancement around using AI. But to just write it off and say the device can't handle it, I think it was too premature to say Apple wasn't going to introduce it on one of their most expensive devices. But it's good to be here. And I think it also squashes the rumors that Apple's dropping this line, or it's going away, or they're going to just switch to glasses and etc. I just think it's pretty good. Um, Looking in the chat room, didn't we always hear that Vision Pro was maxed out on horsepower wise and Apple Intelligence would be too taxing? Gurn said that. Yeah, we always heard that.
Yeah.
But apparently that's not the case with it. And we've got Chuck from Mac Voices in here with us. And Parmesan just saying, thanks for doing the show, guys. I listen and watch every week. Appreciate that. And you probably hear my voice, and I mentioned this earlier on in the show. It's catching up on me, and I'm gonna put the camera and the microphone on Eric quite a bit while I silence my mic and blow my nose and wipe my eyes, because that should not be on YouTube. So
Everybody wants to see that. We horror
here's one
show
that,
every night.
yeah, yeah. Here's one that I thought was great in terms of another article, and this comes from Apple Insider. They talk about it coming, but they also talk about more immersive content. They're going to deliver more spatial content to the Apple Vision Pro. could potentially take the form of a specialized store or collection of available spatial videos and apps from Apple and other companies. Did you take a look did you go back and take a look at that app? We're going to talk about it tonight. Um, we can check in now with it. Did you take a look at God, what was the app we talked about last week with and I thought I put it in the show notes.
The one where you could watch music.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I took a look at it, enough to download it earlier today, and then I got sidetracked because there were a couple of games, and yeah, it was all over. But um, that does look like an app where they're just going to keep adding content. I
Yeah.
think that
So we're not sitting around just
fits
waiting
it.
for Apple to do content. We've got some third party people who are doing apps and then attaching content, purchasable content through that, which I think is pretty cool. I'm sorry, Eric.
Oh, there was a comment in the chat room about Spatial Station and kind of worrying about, is Apple going to come up with something to Sherlock that? And I maybe not, because there's a lot of just individual participation in that, and you can see output on lots of different devices. So I think that um, Spatial Station has enough. Um, uh, what's the term? Enough diversity of users that it should be able to stick around, because you don't have to use just an Apple Vision Pro to watch the content.
Yeah, I think it's also you don't start killing off your allies this early in the game. If you're going to Sherlock something, don't do it now. Let them have their run. Let it draw more people to the thing, and then Sherlocking, maybe not. Drawing from some of the best parts of what they have to offer, and then Apple finding a way to integrate it into their operating system. Yeah, but if these folks are going to bring content to the device, I don't see Apple necessarily locking them out. I could be wrong, but Justin was wondering about that in terms of being Sherlock. It's a good question. Um, let's see. Here's an article by TechCrunch that says it could be as early as April. Again, based on Bloomberg. If Bloomberg stopped saying things, these folks would have nothing to write about.
Yeah, then they have to go back to just imagining things.
Making stuff up. And this comes from 9 to 5, or Call to Mac, excuse me. And they're saying these features will be in visionOS 2.4 in April. Beta will drop as early as the week beginning February 16th.
Hmm.
So, who knows? It could come with it could come with the big announcement tomorrow or Wednesday, excuse me.
Yeah, maybe. So I have a maybe related question on Apple Vision Pro. Is there a way to look at a QR code and read it?
Ooh.
Like you can hold up a phone and then just click and
Right.
go to a website, but that doesn't seem to work on the Apple Vision. So what do you do with it? I mean, you can take a picture and then save it to your camera roll and let your phone pick it up, but
I
I'm
don't
curious.
know.
I kind of looked around, and there's some people that, like will buy like an iPad app, and then you save the picture and then you read in the picture and it'll translate it. But that's what I'm hoping as they start adding Apple Intelligence, because there's weird features missing from the Photos app. Like editing a picture you can't do. And I'm assuming that includes things like dealing with QR codes and some of the other stuff. But you can do the live reading of text. So
Yeah, there's a couple of articles. I just did QR codes for Apple Vision Pro, and a couple of things came up, and I will put them in the. I'll put them in the show notes, even though we weren't prepared to talk about them. And this comes off of a Google Labs search
hmm,
that I just did, and it says basically as a summary, the Apple Vision Pro can scan and process QR codes and barcodes, allowing users to access AR content and other functionality. And that is from an article. What is it? From an article in arcode.com, ar-code.com.
hmm,
But I will again, there's a bunch of links here that talk about how it can be used, and Apple is implementing a unique QR code for pairing with Apple Vision Pro with the Zeiss lenses. Okay, we've all seen that. The weird little optical eye that spins around with
yeah.
dots in it. Um, Scanning
Hmm.
codes with the Vision Pro can automatically detect and parse barcodes and QR codes. And introducing enterprise APIs for Vision Pro. Um, Trying to find the functional link on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is Apple Vision Code, the future of AR and QR. This is again an article from ar-code.com. And some chatter in Reddit
Hmm.
about it. That sounds pretty cool, though.
So do you have to build an app to do it, or is it built into the OS?
You're asking me this stuff on the fly, Eric. Come on, cut me some slack.
Well, you were reading the article. I figured it would all come.
uh,
So, in a future episode, when we figure out how that works, we will share it.
yeah, I can't, unfortunately, my mind doesn't work where I can read and explain simultaneously. I can just
I mean,
about read, and you can figure it out on your own. But and it's a real lengthy article.
huh.
Uh, yeah. Well, yeah, it looks pretty.
Well, all I know is I looked at a lot of QR codes earlier today, and none of them did anything.
Okay. Well,
So,
we'll do a search on that.
yeah.
Maybe folks in the chat room can poke around and see if they can find anything interesting on QR codes, or if there is an actual Vision Pro app that will do it. It seems like the functionality is available. Okay.
Hmm. Sorry to distract you.
No, you're not distracting me. You got me off of talking about Vision Pro's next big update will bring Apple Intelligence. Okay. Apple Intelligence is finally coming to Apple Vision Pro. This is on the Mac Observer um, in April. And Vision Pro will reportedly get Apple Intelligence as soon as April. They don't even come up with creative titles anymore. So, you think we've talked to death the
Yeah.
the the rumor that all this is going to happen? Um, I think it'll be great. Um, so let's go on to the next one, which is an article that looks like it was taken from basically diagrams from patents, and it is talking about Apple is considering adding a small display to the Apple Vision Pro headband.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love this line. The headband on the Apple Vision Pro is, of course, used to keep the device on the user's head, but they want more out of it, such as charging, The newly granted patent shows that Apple has worked extensively for adding a display on the headband to
Hmm.
benefit both the wearer and people around him. Now, if I'm wearing it, how am I going to see what's on the screen?
Huh.
I think it would be cool if this, well, you can see some diagrams here. It shows sort of, I guess they're saying battery level, but I'm not watching that. I've got it in my, I want battery level inside my device. I don't want it
Well,
necessarily on
you've
the
got
outside.
that. I do
Yeah.
like the do not disturb sign though. That's a nice touch.
I'm wearing this headset. Isn't that enough to tell you I don't want to be interacting with you?
It'd be nice if you could customize it, and put out
Yeah.
I'm not
Eat it.
looking at you.
Yeah. Eat at Joe's. Uh,
Oh, I like that. Advertising on the side of the headset.
yeah. You can make money
Wow.
from it.
There's a lot of
You
possibilities
could
for
you
that.
could pay off your Apple Vision Pro. Um,
Yeah.
they could lease them for that purpose. It would be cool
Ooh.
if there was sort of a touch strip. I mean, one of the things that I enjoyed about Google Glass was, and with some of the Meta stuff, is it's got a swipe strip on it, so you basically just run your finger along the side of the thing, and you can move through things, you can advance things in that way. I guess you can do that with your hand gestures, but it just seems kind of cool if this was an added piece. But what does that mean then? We're all going to have this will be a this band headband will be, we know it's interchangeable, but it would be something that
Hmm.
you buy as an accessory, would be, I guess, one way of thinking about it.
Future upgrade.
Yeah. Okay, so I added these articles in because, well, we kind of talked about them last week, but these came out after our we recorded the episode. They don't say a lot more, but they catch the issue that is that Apple's still going to go after AR glasses, um, and they can't. Macworld can't do anything without adding a little drama to it, but fears another flop. So the picture looks very much like a set of Meta glasses, and it is a set of Meta glasses. And if you look at the image, you can see they put a little apple on the side, little apple design on the side of the thing. But if you really look at the image, it's
Hmm.
it's not in perspective. It's like they just put it flat. They didn't add any perspective to it, so it actually looked like it ran down the side of the glasses. That's
Oh yeah. Huh.
God. Do you think people at Macworld would have better photo editors than that? To yeah. Anyways, that they keep using words like failure. Um, yeah. So I just had to show that. There's another one here. Apple describes a way to make the Vision Pro lighter. And one of those ways is to, with a lower model, was to do some tethering, I think.
Hmm.
And also, it's in Patently Apple. They show where they have some patents that they've got that has the battery pack attached to the back, creating a different kind of balance and making it more balanced weight distribution. So you'll just get shorter. You won't have headaches. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, those things are still in the news and still cropping up. And Now, you said you did some game playing.
Yes.
So there are some new games coming in March in Apple Arcade that will also be available and released in Vision Pro.
Hmm.
So this article from Mac Rumors talks about arcade. So if it's arcade and you have that as part of your purchasing your Apple One, then these games are going to be free for you. Piano Tiles, which is a game that I guess involves having to follow music and hitting the black keys instead of the white keys. Joining over 1 billion fans in this satisfying rhythm game.
Huh. Okay.
And then Crazy Eights,
Oh.
the old classic card game.
Hmm.
So that'll give us something new to play. Um, it would be great if we could have more shared space to be able to. I guess you could do some of this stuff with FaceTime or with the FaceTime connection. It depends on how the people who are creating the apps think about it in terms of interactive games.
We'll have to try that for some of those. Test it out.
Yeah, some notes in the chat room. Um, I just thought I heard something about them improving demo mode in future versions. Yeah, there was an article
Yeah.
about that. That's one of the upgrades that they'll be looking at. That demo mode will have. Well, demo mode, they have an app. And I think we talked a little bit about this on the last
Mhm.
show. And I'm trying to look through what we have up here now. Um, they have an app that you can buy that is actually for demos. And they're
Hmm.
thinking it's going to be used in third party. We're going to talk about the whole third party suppliers in a minute, but it can be used by like Best Buy or people at Walmart, and they can do the fitting and they can do the setup and they can help run the demo through the app. Now, I think you have. Do you have that app? No,
I haven't
it
tried that
was
yet.
it was David Ginsburg mentioned that he was able to
Ah.
download that app. I've tried multiple times to download it, so I don't know what David's magic David has, but he says he has the app, and the articles show a lot about the app with it. And there were three rumors. Justin says there are three rumors with the rumor: Apple Intelligence, not just Siri, just the writing and some of the photo stuff, and then spatial content, and then the revised guest mode that you can control from the iPhone. So it'll be interesting. Let's see, what happens with 2.4 if it's more than just Siri or if it has what kinds of limitations it has with it. Um, but yeah, and this is an article I didn't delve too much into, but it talks about Microsoft. Um, Microsoft, with HoloLens, has had a lot of history with that, and it's become popular as a product for use with the Army. And they have created, basically, they're turning over the HoloLens program to Palmer Luckey's Anduril. Um, and if it's approved, Microsoft's role in the program would be instead just to manage the cloud infrastructure
Hmm.
for the process. So there was this, after Apple Vision Pro, there was this big rush to let's see what other people are doing. Look at all the competitors. Microsoft was working on HoloLens and then dropped it for a long time, then picked it back up. And it looks like, and then they said, well, we're dropping it. We're not going to pursue it. And it looks like this project is now being parsed off to another company, or they're attempting to do that in terms of an arrangement. Um, Microsoft's started working with the Army in 2019 using a modified HoloLens 2. Is it HoloLens or HoloLens?
Not sure.
Yeah.
HoloLens?
Since it really doesn't exist anymore, we can call it anything we
Oh,
want to.
whatever.
Potato, patata. uh, but the program ran into speed bumps, one of which was all too familiar to many who tried poorly designed VR games. It made them want to hurl. Okay, so Engadget is using the word hurl
I
in
understand that.
yeah. In addition to the nausea, the headsets also created eye strains and headaches.
Hmm.
Um, the problems contributed to Congress denying the Army's request to buy 6,900 pairs
Hmm.
as part of the 2023 government funding bill. So, yeah, we want to buy these things that make people throw up and give them headaches. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of stuff about what's going on with at Microsoft and their investment in VR AR. And so the next batch of articles are really a couple of articles here on uh, Apple and their what looks like the ability to take what the product is and um, use different providers for selling that product. I don't see too much of a shock here. Um, I mean, I guess what surprises me about it is that I don't go to Walmart to buy a $3,500 headset. I just don't know where the market is of the people who go to discount stores. I mean, I would even be skeptical about Best Buy, but Best Buy has their own section of devices and that are dedicated to Apple stuff. They have their tables, and they generally have pretty well trained people in the store that man that portion of it. They don't let anybody kind of walk up and do it. And when I've been in there, they said, "Oh, let me go get this person." And for a long time there, I knew that person well because that's where we took our international teachers to choose whether they wanted a PC or they wanted a Mac. Um, so the person is well trained with, did the circuit for Apple in these retail stores. So it doesn't kind of surprise me about the potential with Best Buy, Walmart, other kinds of discount stores. A little surprised, but it's not unheard of for Apple to sell their product through other vendors. What's your thoughts on this, Eric?
Well, I figure they have to kind of test this out a little bit. The Apple Vision Pro is really kind of a early adopter product. So there's a lot of things they have to have work before they can come up with a glasses type product. And then there are only so many Apple stores. There are lots of towns that don't have access to one, and you really need a chance to go in and test out a headset. So this is a way of getting more demo units out there that people could test. And in the cases of, say, um, you know, a hospital or somebody trying to come up with something, having a slightly more local place where people could go to try it out could be worthwhile. So I don't know how long it'll last. I don't know if it'll last long enough to go into an updated product, but I think getting it out. I mean, Apple's tried before store within store concepts and that sort of thing. I think it's sort of a worthwhile piece of everything else that they have to kind of run through and try out before coming out with a higher volume product.
Yeah, and
Plus, yeah.
here's part of the article where they talk about the app, the Vision Pro Demo Fit app.
Hmm.
Um, and it has all of the arrangements and set up to do this. Apple currently requires customers to use the Apple Store app to determine Apple Vision Pro accessory sizing. Apple has only sold the AVP directly through its online and in-person stores. But again, the way the media is handling this is, hey, we finally found a way. Apple came up with this creative way to pawn these things off on other places that can sell them because we got a whole warehouse full of these things we can't get rid of. So let's turn them over to Best Buy. I yeah, I just do not like the tone of this, but I guess that's what
Although
sells paper.
it is true that if they wanted to try some experimental discount pricing for certain times of year or certain markets, they could safely do it in another store where they wouldn't be able to necessarily do it in an Apple store.
Yeah,
Now, I don't really see them doing huge discounts, but it's possible.
yeah. So here's another article from Apple Insider, kind of focusing on the app, really. And this one is called Vision Pro Fit. So I don't. The last one was Vision Pro Demo Fit. So I don't know how to track down and actually get that app if it's available. Anyway,
Yeah, I haven't found the app yet, but
now this is kind of cool. Um, if you're into sports and you're kind of like game technology, Apple's Vision Pro new NBA 3D games are just the start of something greater. This is, again, Apple Insider, and um, it creates a 3D tabletop, sort of diorama style, to the
yeah,
NBA app, giving viewers a miniature real time look at the action alongside standard 3D live stream.
I think it's really cool.
And they have the Bulls at the United Center. Being from Chicago, I can appreciate that. Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I don't think you even have to be a fan of sports to watch it.
No, it's just like little teeny men running around on your table.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that car, the racing app where they
Yeah,
did a
the F.
miniature with the cars going. Yeah, yeah. Um, or the one where you can watch planes taking off and landing from various airports. I really like the kind of miniaturized view of something.
Yeah, here's some things they take that I like about this with this article, because the big thing about doing live is that the streaming is just way too much, and it it's just too much of a bandwidth hog to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But there's some creative ways that you can adjunct the real experience. Like baseball could showcase pitch trajectories, defensive
Hmm.
shifts, exit philosophies in a way that make analytics more engaging. Because we hear about them when we watch the games, but you kind of be able to have those projections that are available through the Vision Pro. Could be very cool. In Olympics, Spatial computing could offer unique perspectives across events. Gymnasts and diving could feature slow motion 3D replays, while swimming could give an underwater view of the athletes. So, just
Hmm.
and they ended off by saying, "What a wonderful way to spark lackluster sales." No, they don't. I got to give them credit there. This doesn't have, they talk about it being helpful for surgeons. It it doesn't kick them in the pants. It doesn't kick Apple in the pants. It says, hey, here's some interesting things that at least the NBA has done with their mixed reality app, and there are other possibilities based on this format. So the what we're going to hear in a couple of days from the Apple announcements, I don't even know if it's a formal announcement. They're just going to pop it out as a news release. And, the big thing is the SE4 or the iPhone 16 SE or whatever you want to call it. And we've heard a lot about that already. I mean, people have said it's going to have this, it's going to have this, it's going to have that. And then they're tucking in some of these other things regarding other devices and the possibility of other devices. And I'm just not sure that we're going to see everything that everybody is going to say is possible. Um, this
Or
article, what? Yeah,
we're probably not going to see most of what everyone thinks
what
is
is that?
possible.
Yeah. Uh, and they're hoping that maybe they'll get third-party VR controllers, starting with PlayStation VR 2.
Hmm.
And then that would, it would need to wait for WWDC to do to wait for visionOS 2.4, that it could come up, and then maybe, and the big hope, which I think is a big stretch, is a mention of MacBook Air with M4. Uh, so who knows with that? I think I've got another article or two in here uh, that push that along. No, I think that's pretty much it. That one article, but there have been a lot of articles on what's going to happen 2 days from now. Um, so we'll see. I don't know. I I fail to think they're going to release a MacBook Air M4 without a little bit
That's,
more pizzazz.
yeah, that's too much.
Maybe in March, you know, and then maybe announce an M5 Pro at WWDC, because the developers might be, well, I think they're going to do something with Studio at WWDC. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
not a lot along the lines of the Vision Pro in its current format. If they're going to do glasses, that's going to be maybe a fall announcement, or would they do it at WWDC to say, here's another platform that you can program on that's coming up?
Yeah. I don't think we'll see anything with glasses until they do the all the Apple Intelligence stuff gets further along, because you'll really need it with that.
You're probably right. Um,
So,
and
but
we'll
there are
we'll
air
know.
tags.
Oh yeah, AirTags. Cletus is hoping for a new Apple TV.
Ah,
What could a new Apple TV do that the current one doesn't do?
mm, well, aren't they going to be doing all the smart home stuff, like a little smart home hub, like the old old iMac screen that that kind of tips and follows your voice or whatever. Or maybe that's later too. I don't know. I mean, I figure they could put some more home control things, or have a slightly faster processor. Maybe
Yeah, I think
that's
the
an
home.
excellent question.
Yeah, I would think the home stuff would come in the fall for holiday buying season.
Mm,
Um, I don't see a reason to if it's basically going to be an iPad on steroids. I don't see a reason for it to be
yeah.
released in the spring, um, when you've got new phones coming out in late summer, early fall, and then you've got some product lineup for the Christmas season if you want to do that.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit. I think we've completed everything in terms of news. So let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
apps. And I'm going to try and line some of this stuff up because it is not currently in my lineup for the web. So um, this is
So you can
one
go
that this is
archery
one
first.
the archery one. I had to try that.
How many
And
times did you shoot your foot?
actually, I did pretty good with it. Why don't you start with the archery piece, and I'll switch to the slide.
This is just fun. It really is. Um, you launch the app, you hold your hand up, and then you kind of move your other hand close to your first hand with kind of like you're grabbing a coffee mug before you close your fist, and then an arrow appears. I will say that if you kind of go to grab it and are unsure and release it a couple of times, you drop a lot of arrows. Which is how I shot my foot. But
Yeah,
you do that, you pull the arrow back and you let go. I ran into a little bit of problems with the arrow release. That took me a little while. Some of my shots were a little wild. I'm glad they were not real arrows. I would have done a lot of damage in the hallway I was standing in. However, it was fun, and then they put up targets, and you aim at targets at a couple different heights, and they move them around a little bit. I think there's a timer that goes to give you X amount of time to do that, and you get a pile of arrows, and it's almost more satisfying than the real arrows that you have to then go and pick up because you never have to go pick them up.
I
Yeah.
had a good time with this. I've been sick all day, which has been allows me some couch time, and I knew we were going to talk about this. In fact, I think I found it on Reddit and then sent it to you last week, and got the impression that when you said back, I just shot my foot. I'm like, okay, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about this tonight. And a little side story, I was at the University of Illinois for my undergraduate and my master's degree. So I was there for a long time. And there's not a lot of, well, there wasn't a lot of open space there. I mean, there are probably more than most campuses that I've been on. But there was this weird place in the middle of campus that was the archery range. And I never
Huh.
saw anybody on it. They basically had stacks of hay that had probably been there way too long. And for some reason, I got into the kick that I'm going to go and get myself a bow and arrow. So I got one of those really, I mean, very sophisticated kind of arrows. And I would walk over from my dorm with this thing on my back and then go over and shoot arrows at the target. And I had some fun with it. And I hadn't had any of that kind of fun since then until I did this app. And it's kind of nice. They're showing them outside in what looks like a green space. I did it in my living room and was just having a the arrows would go out the house and land somewhere you know, in the neighbor's yard. But you're right. You didn't have to pick them up. Um, a little bit of there's some learning that goes into it in terms of getting your fist up is one thing, and then getting an arrow to appear by having your other fist sort of clenched, and sometimes you'd clench it and the arrow would be going sideways instead of where you wanted it. So you'd have to move it, and sometimes you'd let go of it, and the arrow would shoot that way. But once you got it, and then you'd pull it back, and it's like you'd let go, and nothing would happen because it was just too close to you, I guess. So it takes a little bit of movement to do, but when you get it, and you get it more than you don't get it when you play with it a while. When you get it, it's a lot of fun, and it's pretty damn accurate in terms of movement. I played other games where the physics just doesn't seem to work out on it as well. It did
Yeah.
work out pretty well on this, and it is. Does it cost anything?
Oh,
Best part,
that is
free. It's free. Um, and I don't know, maybe they'll add some stuff onto it in the future, but it is currently free.
yeah. I want to try
Uh,
playing it again where I really crank up the sound because I couldn't remember if you could hear the arrow moving through the air. I don't think you got that sound, and I don't know if you got a full thunk when it hits the target. But I kind of like to hear that, so I want to try playing one more time and turn up the sound and see if I get something.
yeah, our chat room's talking about it. Gern says it looks like fun. Anyone remember the old school lawn darts? Man, I love those things. And
uh,
parents
so
wouldn't
bad.
get me those. They would never dream of getting anything like that. Because you'll put it through someone's foot. Well,
No, you put it through your
w-
skull. That's why they stopped.
stupid people get in the way when they throw it. That's why we're doing cornhole now instead of lawn darts. It's basically lawn darts with a beanbag. Um, but the few times I touched one of those things, I just love those. And Gurn is saying, get your inner Robin Hood out.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I just picked up today, and it is called uh, Vistuate. Visu Visutate. I guess it's like vision and meditate. Immersive relaxation. And I saw this. It's currently in the What's New This Week in terms of apps, and tried it. And it is pretty good. I mean, it is pretty cool. Now, this is not the way I meditate. I don't want to play with my environment. I just want to close my eyes and shut things out. Um,
So
yeah.
so did you play with objects in this?
Yeah, yeah. Like, you can see that first picture there with the hummingbird. I got the hummingbird to come over, and you kind of put your hand out, and I squeezed my hand a couple of times, and it looked like little sparkles came out of it. And then the hummingbird
Yeah.
came over, and then
Well,
I tried to grab it, and it flew off. It was, I guess, threatened by me.
so next time you play it, look because there'll be like a whole bunch of hummingbirds around you, and you can change the
Right.
settings to increase the numbers of hummingbirds. But if you pinch your thumb and first finger together, it shoots a beam out from your pinched together fingers at the hummingbird you're pointed at, and it sort of is a magnet to suck the hummingbird right at you. So you have these
Oh,
sharp
wow.
beaks coming straight at you, and then you aim at another one, and you got hummingbird beaks zooming towards you. Kind
Wow.
of
That's,
disconcerting,
yeah,
but
for a meditation
yeah.
app.
So then I was because pinching your fingers seemed kind of neat, so I was trying it and so on. And if you pinch your fingers and anywhere near the shamrocks, you pick the end of the shamrock leaf off, and it shoots back at your hand. And then if you look up at the trees and you pinch your finger together, it shakes the tops of the trees until leaves start falling off.
Man, I didn't see all that. I just had some
It was
woman.
it was truly violent.
Yeah, I think I would like pinch my fingers together and have the hummingbirds come towards my mouth, and then I would like eat them. I,
Well,
I, I
I
would.
was trying to suck in. I was trying to see how many I could suck in towards me. Now, it did feel like I was a little overly controlling to hummingbirds, and yeah, that might be a bit much.
I don't
But
have a
but
relationship with hummingbirds like you do.
Yeah, I just, no one should be able to control another animal that way. Luckily, this is all virtual, so it's not real hummingbirds.
Yeah, look at all
But
the
it
wonder.
was neat to get them aimed all right back at you, and then the leaves all coming shooting at you. Butterflies, they didn't seem to react to anything.
Yeah, I couldn't get him
Nah.
to do anything.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then there are little portals you can jump around to. So if you pinch on a portal, it beams you from where you are to that spot, so you can
yeah.
jump between locations and get closer to deer, or further away from deer, or jump into a whole swarm of hummingbirds and get them all coming at you, and then go to another portal and suck them over to that one. And yeah, I felt no relaxation,
Yeah,
but it
this
did
is
occupy some time though.
yeah, this was listed as new this week. So I can't figure that out because it looks like the app has been around for a while. And
Maybe it
I
just hasn't
just,
made it in as a feature, and I think they just
well,
upgraded.
yeah, version history. I'm looking at the version history here, and they just did a new version
Yeah.
of version 2.7.1. You can now teleport to different locations. Yeah, I tried that. Because there were like deer, and there's like a little teleport, and I tried to jump over to the deer, but I got there and the deer wasn't there anymore, so it was kind of not satisfying. So they have done some version updates, February 16th, February 6th. You look at some of the initial reviews, and they're not so positive. Okay, so here's the scary part: is the in-app purchase, and I don't particularly know what it does that the free version doesn't do. But I paid for a month, and we'll see if I go back and use it. But it's $5 a month. Or if you think, you're going to use this for the rest of your lifetime, you can get it for $200. Or if you're going to do it premium, but on an annual basis, um, it's, 45 bucks. And a monthly is 99 or $10. So what is the Vistate monthly versus the Vistate premium monthly? Because it looks like the premium monthly is cheaper than the Vistate monthly. I don't know. Um, Sounds like Eric had so much fun with the hummingbirds he didn't relax. Yeah, like I said, I spent time with a woman telling me to breathe, and this is a bad day for anybody to tell me to breathe because it's like breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, hold, take 4 seconds to inhale, take 4 seconds to hold it, and take 4 seconds to exhale. And so
Yeah.
that's 12 seconds. That means I'm getting 6 breaths in a minute. That's just didn't work for me with a head cold. But I think that's what you get for the $4 or the $5. You get the breathing. That was one of the things. You get the breathing buddy
Oh,
um, that you can
yeah.
use. So,
I'd rather not have the breathing buddy.
and then let's do this last one, and I think we can call it a show. Um, this is the best I can do with this, but we can both talk about it. This you found this and you sent it to me,
Hmm.
and I set it up just earlier this evening. And I had test flight, and I realized there are a bunch of things that I've test flighted on Vision Pro. Um, and so this is first you got to get test flight, which is not difficult to do. It's in the App Store. And it's also, I think, in the Vision Pro App Store. So you can download the test flight. And then this link, we'll put this link in the chat. Um, then you go and get Revision for Reddit. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So basically, they took a web interface to Reddit and wrapped it up and added a couple controls across the bottom just to make it a little bit easier to use with a Vision Pro. Because you can use a website and get there, but the controls are a little bit small and it's a little hard to get back home and whatever. And this just makes it easier, and it's got an interface that is more like a normal Vision Pro app. So it's a little darker, a little less separate web app, more of a actual real app look. Um, I, yeah, I liked it, enjoyed it. I was able to kind of zip around and look at stuff. It worked. Um, it was a little more relaxing because it wasn't that stark white background that a website had.
Yeah.
Um, and I like the buttons across the bottom that so you could go back home and so on. Um, so yeah, if you're a Reddit user, it's worth looking at.
I had trouble logging on to my account. Multiple errors coming back from the server through the app. But I then just said I'm not going to get there, so I'll just play with the interface, and it is pretty cool. I mean, it's a good interface. I also realize I have Reddit on my Vision Pro because Reddit has an app that they're test flighting, and so
Oh,
I've
really?
been
Oh,
yeah they do yeah because
because there's an iPad app too that I had been using. I didn't realize they had a Vision Pro one.
I think
I'll have to
so
go back and
because
look.
I'm running a test flight to get it to run, and
Hmm.
the test flight seems to have gone on forever. So I don't know what's going with it, but I can get my Reddit through the Reddit app that is being
Yeah.
test flighted. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah.
This is the app that I forgot about that or forgot the name of.
Oh,
It
oh, and so
is
the last thing I was going to say about the other
okay.
one
Yeah.
is that problem you were having logging in. I was only able to log in by saying I wanted to use my app or use Apple to connect.
Yeah, I tried
None of my
both.
other options worked, but the
Yeah.
Apple one did. So
I
yeah.
tried straight login.
Hmm.
And then I did the Apple, and it sent me to get my password, and it did that, and it still gave me a difficult time logging
Hmm.
into that. And that could have just been a fluke the time that I did it. Maybe I'll go back and take a look at it. This is the app that I think is gonna be a good example
Oh yeah, yeah.
of what content providers can provide in terms of music and devices. And this is Prima Immersive. We mentioned it last week, and the immersive video is incredible. It's shot. The person who did it on a really nice set and did a great job. There is a sense of spatial audio with it. So as the artists are singing, you can. I don't know if they have any more slides on here. As the artists are singing, you get a sense that there's the way they're laid out on stage. You're hearing them from the left ear channel versus the right ear channel. You can pick the parts out really nicely, so the audio is pretty impressive with it. And I've got pretty much 10 ears and tinnitus, so but it is pretty impressive. I'm not smothered by them. They're in front of me, but they're not trying to give me a lap dance. It is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And so yeah, you have to pay for the content, or at least you had to pay for the first set of content. Um, but the first set of content was $4, and from that you get a 15-minute video of these artists singing. And since then, I've gone on and stalked them on YouTube and other areas where you can see some live clips of them. But it really is pretty cool, and I hope that in this case the immersive company LLC continues to seek out content that they can sell at a reasonable price that you can have really good content with. And Gurn said that the video is so good, 16-minute performance, well worth the $4.
Hmm.
And Justin's saying the same thing. Prima is so good. Best new app since What If. Oh, that's
Mm.
high.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you didn't catch it last week, this is a good week to pick up on that. Again, it's
Hmm.
Prima Immersive, and you can find that in the App Store. Well, I've got some editing to do, so I can get this thing out tonight, and I'll just sit here with a box of Kleenex. And all the time I've been off camera, I've muted and blown my nose. So I'm glad I'm going to be able to do that without having to worry about cutting a podcast. Eric, thanks for being a partner with this.
Yep.
This is really great. Daniel was going to be here tonight, and I got a message from him saying, I
Hmm.
came home. I am sick. He said, I just have been sick. So he came home. He took his partner for cataract. And he said, I can't make it tonight. I'll be there next week because
Ah.
he just is not feeling well. So, but thank you for being a partner with this, Eric. You just
Yeah.
bring so much to it. I really appreciate this camaraderie we have with the show.
And
Thank you.
this week I got to play with arrows
Yeah,
and shoot things. Yeah, it was good.
yeah, yeah. It's a good week. Um, so thank you for our chat. We got a great chat room. Gurn, Justin, Cletus, um, Chuck Joyner from Mac Voices TV was in. Fun to see folks having that conversation. Thank you for tuning in the chat room. And also thank you who are listening to this podcast or are going to watch the live stream later. We'd love to hear from our listeners if you have ideas or if you want to join us on an episode. We need to have some fresh guests. You can comment on these articles. We'll send them ahead of time so you can take a look at it. Just email us at the Vision Profiles podcast at gmail.com. You can also connect with me at Mastodon, Gencius, Jencius at mastodon.social, or on Blue Sky at Gencius at Blue Sky. What about you, Eric? How can people connect with you?
EA Bolden at techhub.social or EA Bolden on Blue Sky. Both of
Okay,
those work.
cool. And again, we'd love to have visitors on the show. It's comfortable. If you listen to this, you know it's comfortable. And you can learn more about us and the Vision Profiles podcast at the website, thepodtalk.net. Our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.